I think technology is doing a lot of things. It's making access to data far more democratic. So in other words, almost any business can now access hundreds of candidates, thousands of candidates through various platforms, be it via job boards or increasingly obviously LinkedIn. And the ability to network and find people today is almost been simplified. Anyone has access to the same data. Increasingly, I think that comes with a challenge, because whilst it's very easy to find, it just becomes a lot more beholden on you to actually help with the selection of people and actually to run the actual process. It's very easy to get 200 applicants for a job. It's very hard to sift those down to the one person that can actually do the job that you want them to do. So whilst in some levels technology is making things easier, I think in other levels we need to use more technology, or we're using and starting to develop technologies to actually make the actual end-to-end process more efficient and effective in order to find the right person for the job every time. Part of that is in selection methodologies, part of that is in the capability that you have to actually streamline the candidate process, and part of that is actually in the engagement of candidates up front. And increasingly we're finding it's important that to actually engage with candidates and have a depth of relationship with them that may lead to a job, rather than having the job as the be-all and end-all at the front end. I think there will always be a need for recruitment agencies to supply talent. I think in-house recruitment teams are getting a lot better at direct sourcing and having an absolute focus on direct sourcing, internal mobility and referral campaigns, building communities and maximising their use. And I think that will always continue, and you can see how it's moved over the last even 5 years and how they've become far more successful. I think, however, there will always be a place for recruitment agencies. I think there will always be jobs where actually they are so niche, so specific, some of the skills are so scarce that actually the cost of actually directly sourcing them, or the cost of not using an agency, will actually be greater than the cost of actually using the agency in the first place. And I think it's interesting talking about cost per hire or etc. I think a lot of companies analyse cost per hire and time per hire, but in my experience they always analyse them independently. And actually increasingly what I think companies need to consider is actually cost at what cost. So do you measure cost per hire against time per hire, cost per hire against quality of hire, cost per hire against satisfaction or of the hiring manager, of the candidates, of all the stakeholders in the process? And I think there will be a middle ground where actually agencies absolutely will be used, but those agencies will be used who are niche, bespoke, specific in their vertical. They understand where the candidates are, they have a depth of relationship with their candidates and they engage with them, and therefore in effect you're going to that agency because you know they can deliver it. And I think increasingly as time goes on, the age of the generalist recruiter will shrink. I think agencies can do a lot to engage with their customers, and actually their customers are not only customers who pay the bills, but also their candidates being customers. So I think increasingly we look to actually support our customers with salary surveys. So we partner through one of our brands with The New Scientist and generate the salary survey for that industry. I think increasingly customers want more market information and more knowledge, and we see that not just from the agency brands that we have inside our group, but also the outsourcing brands in terms of understanding what is going on in the marketplace, an external view. And we absolutely firmly believe that where we have people who are actually delivering the service on site, that when we come together in a sort of a workforce planning environment with the customer, you have the internal view from the hiring manager, there's the stakeholders inside, you have the internal view of the capability of the business in terms of the people and the development from the HR side, and then you have our view, which is absolutely the purpose to bring in the external view into the business. Salaries, how much are people paying, how long will it take to hire someone, and actually bringing all those so that you can build a proper workforce plan, and through that making recruitment strategic. And if you can make it strategic and not reactive, it should overall cost less, deliver higher quality and be a lot quicker in delivering the service.